The phone rang every Sunday. Every single Sunday. Same time, same number, same person. And every Sunday, I watched it ring until it stopped. I never answered, not once, for 3 years. 3 years of silence, 3 years of excuses, 3 years of telling myself, maybe next week. But next week became next month, and next month became another year, until one rainy night, something happened, something I never expected. And after that night, everything changed. This is not a story about a phone call. It's a story about regret, about fear, about the things we leave unsaid, and about the people we think will always be there. Stay with me. Because before this story ends, you may remember someone you need to call. Welcome to AmigoLang. Get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's begin. My name is Ethan. I was 32 years old, and I had become very good at avoiding things, not big things, small things, returning messages, making decisions, having difficult conversations. The phone calls from my mother, especially those. Every Sunday at exactly 7 o'clock in the evening, my phone would ring. The screen always showed the same name, Mom, and every Sunday, I looked at it. I waited, and I let it stop ringing. Then I would tell myself the same lie. I'll call her tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. At least not the version of tomorrow I kept promising myself. The strange thing is that my mother and I never had a huge fight. No dramatic argument, no screaming, no betrayal, nothing like that. Life simply happened. A misunderstanding, then distance, then pride, then silence. And silence is dangerous, because silence grows. At first, it is only a few days, then a few weeks, then a few months, and eventually it feels impossible to break. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. So I waited for 3 years. 3 years of birthdays, 3 years of holidays, 3 years of missed opportunities, and every Sunday, the phone rang. One evening, while making dinner, I looked at my call history. There it was. Dozens of missed calls, maybe hundreds. I stared at the screen longer than usual, then I locked the phone and walked away. Because looking was easier than acting. Much easier. At least that's what I believed. My mother loved Sundays. She always had. When I was a child, Sundays meant pancakes. They meant music in the kitchen. They meant stories, long stories, the kind that made you forget the time. My mother could talk to anyone, the cashier at a grocery store, a stranger at a bus stop, the neighbor across the street, everyone. And somehow, everyone liked her. For most of my life, I thought she would always be exactly the same, always smiling, always calling, always waiting. Then one afternoon, 3 years before that rainy night, we had an argument. Not a huge argument, at least not at first. I had recently left my job. I was frustrated, angry at myself, angry at the world. Everything felt uncertain, and when people asked if I was okay, I hated it. My mother called. She was only trying to help, but I wasn't ready to hear advice. "Are you looking for work?" she asked. I remember rolling my eyes. "Yes, Mom." "Have you updated your resume?" "Yes, Mom." "Maybe I can ask your uncle if—" "Stop." There was silence, just a few seconds, but enough. "I was only trying to help," she said quietly. "I know." But I didn't sound grateful. I sounded annoyed. Then she said something simple, something completely normal. Yet for some reason, it made me angry. And I exploded. I said things I didn't mean, things I wish I could take back. The worst part? I knew I was hurting her while I was saying them, and I kept going. The first Sunday after the argument, my phone rang. Mom. I stared at it and I didn't answer. Part of me felt guilty, part of me felt embarrassed, but mostly I didn't know what to say. The following week, she called again, and again, and again. Then one day, she left a voice message. I almost deleted it. Instead, I listened. "Hi, Ethan." Her voice sounded normal, warm, gentle, like always. "I just wanted to hear your voice." A small pause. "Anyway, I hope you're doing okay. Call me when you're ready." Then the message ended. No anger, no accusations, no guilt, just kindness. For some reason, that made me feel worse, because kindness leaves you with nowhere to hide. I listened to that message dozens of times, maybe hundreds, yet I still didn't call. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and eventually the silence became part of my life, like furniture in a room, always there, always ignored, until you suddenly notice it again. And that rainy night, I noticed it again, more than ever before. That rainy night. I couldn't sleep. The apartment felt too quiet, too still. So I started cleaning, not because I wanted to, because I needed something to do, anything. I opened drawers, moved old boxes, threw away things I no longer needed, and then I found a small cardboard box. I hadn't opened it in years. Inside were photographs, old photographs, the kind people printed before everything lived on a phone. I sat on the floor and started looking through them. Birthday parties, family vacations, Christmas mornings. Then I found one photo, just one, and everything stopped. I was 7 years old, missing my 2 front teeth, holding a bicycle, a bright red bicycle. I remembered that day immediately. My mother had worked extra shifts for months to buy it. Months. I didn't know it then, but I knew it now. In the photograph, she wasn't looking at the camera. She was looking at me, smiling. The kind of smile that only appears when someone loves you completely. I stared at that photo for a long time, and suddenly, I remembered something. Not the argument, not the missed calls, something older, something much more important. Every time I failed, every time I made a mistake, every time life knocked me down, my mother was there, always. No conditions, no questions, just there. And for 3 years, I had punished her for one conversation, one bad day, one stupid moment. I put the photograph down, and for the first time, I asked myself a question I had been avoiding. What if she stopped calling? Not because she gave up, not because she was angry, but because one day she couldn't. The thought hit me harder than I expected, and suddenly, the apartment didn't feel quiet anymore. It felt empty. I looked at the clock. 6:58 p.m. Sunday. 2 minutes. I knew what that meant. For 3 years, my mother had called every Sunday at 7, no matter what, no matter how many times I ignored her. She called. I sat on the couch, my phone in my hand, waiting. 6:59. The rain tapped softly against the window. 7 o'clock. Nothing. No call. I waited 1 minute, 2, 5, nothing. No ringtone, no vibration, no screen lighting up, nothing. And suddenly, I felt afraid. Really afraid. For the first time in 3 years, there was silence on the other side, too. I opened my contacts. My hands were shaking. I pressed her name and called. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3. Then someone answered. But it wasn't my mother. It was my aunt. "Ethan!" My stomach dropped. Immediately. "Where's Mom?" Silence. Just a second. But it felt like forever. Then my aunt sighed softly. "She's okay." I closed my eyes. Relief flooded through me. But then she continued. She's at the hospital. Everything inside me froze. I drove faster than I should have. Rain, traffic lights, empty streets. None of it mattered. All I could think was, please let me be on time. Please. When I arrived, I practically ran through the doors. My aunt pointed toward a room, and there she was, my mother, sitting upright in a hospital bed looking annoyed. Not sick, annoyed. The moment she saw me, her eyes widened. Ethan? I laughed. Actually laughed, because suddenly I realized something. She was okay. She was really okay. I walked into the room, and for a second, neither of us spoke. 3 years. 3 years standing between us. Then I said the only thing that mattered. I'm sorry. My voice broke. I'm so sorry. The room became blurry. I realized I was crying, and I didn't care. My mother smiled. That same smile from the photograph, the same one. And then she said something I will never forget. Ethan, I forgave you 3 years ago. Just like that. No speech, no anger, no punishment, no conditions. 3 years of guilt gone in one sentence. I sat beside her, and we talked. For hours. About everything and nothing. The way families do, the way we should have done years ago. When I finally left the hospital, the rain had stopped. The sky was clear. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt light. Not because everything was fixed, not because life was perfect, but because I had finally done the thing I was most afraid of doing. And sometimes that is where healing begins. Not when fear disappears, but when you move anyway. Even while you're afraid. If there's someone you need to call, maybe don't wait 3 years. Maybe tomorrow is today. Thank you for spending this evening with AmigoLang. If this story stayed with you, if it reminded you of someone, then you're exactly where you need to be. And if you'd like another